So you guys want to talk about mining, right? You guys want to talk about mining cryptocurrency and mining Bitcoin and whether or not you should do it, right? Should you mine Bitcoin? Should you mine any crypto? Okay. I've gotten a lot of questions recently talking about Bitcoin mining. A lot of news articles are coming out about different Bitcoin miners, different acquisitions, different things like this. And people are interested in Bitcoin mining and asked me if they think if it's a good idea for them to become a miner. Okay. Now, the thing about this decision is that if you're thinking about becoming a miner, okay, you guys need to realize that this decision can cost you a lot of money in both dollars and opportunity costs of other things that you could do with those dollars. Okay. And the benefits of making the right decision leads to massive returns, massive gains, and it could be very, very profitable for you. And, if you guys follow the rest of this video, I am going to explain to you guys how mining works, the problems and maybe the challenges that you will face if you want to become a Bitcoin miner, and then what I think that most people should do, whether or not they should become a Bitcoin miner or not. Okay. We're going to get into all of that today. Before I do, I want to let you guys know and remind you that nothing in this video or this channel is financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. I'm not your financial counselor. What you decide to do with your money is up to you, and you need to take responsibility for your buys and sells. Okay. Now let's get into the content. Let's talk about Bitcoin mining. Okay. So how mining works, right? The first thing that we need to do is we need to understand how mining works, the way that the algorithm works in simple terms. I'm not going to get super, super technical for you guys. I'm not going to get into the details of everything, but essentially, to keep things simple, the way mining works is that there's, 21 million total Bitcoin, 19.8 million Bitcoin are out. How do you get the 21 million minus 19.8? How do you get the rest of the Bitcoin that's not yet out? Well, how you do that is you become a miner, okay? The miners on the Bitcoin network get the inflation of Bitcoin, okay? So if you create blocks, if you secure the network through what's called hash rate, the miners are the things that produce the hash rate, okay? You get rewarded with the Bitcoin inflation, basically, or the issuance, however you wanna call it, okay? And the more people that mine, the Bitcoin difficulty adjustment, the more people mine and the more hash rate increases every so often, let's say 2 weeks as an example, okay? Every single 2 weeks on average, the Bitcoin difficulty adjusts based on how many people are mining, how much power is being used to secure the network. And the more power that's being used to secure the network, the more power that's being used to secure the Bitcoin network, the harder it is to mine a block. Okay, so basically the more people that are mining, the more hash rate, not the more people, but the higher the hash rate, the less Bitcoin each miner gets on average. Okay, that's, basically in layman's terms, the way that Bitcoin mining works. So if you guys want to look at that concept and talk about that, look up Bitcoin mining difficulty adjustment. Okay, it adjusts roughly every 2 weeks. Okay, so the next thing that we need to talk about is what is this concept, okay? We're going to talk about proof of work a little bit, okay? The way that Bitcoin works, okay, it's through proof of work, okay? Proof of work is essentially you need to work in order to verify blocks that are created on the blockchain. How do you verify that work, okay? What is the work? It's the miners. The miners are essentially specialized computers that are on the Bitcoin network that solve problems in order for you to verify that everything was correct along with all the other miners, okay? And that's how you secure the Bitcoin network, okay? You secure the Bitcoin network through mining, through hash rate, okay? And it's distributed ledger technology so that there's miners all over the world that secure the Bitcoin network, and all of them know that they're telling the truth, to put it simply, okay? Now, there's a difference between proof of work, which is what Bitcoin uses, and proof of stake. Okay, what's proof of stake? Proof of stake is what Ethereum uses, Solana uses, a lot of smart contract platforms use proof of stake. Proof of stake is essentially you secure the network by locking up coins, all right? In Ethereum's case, it's 32 ETH, okay? In all the different other blockchains, it's all different types of numbers. that's required in order for you to become a validator. But basically, the way you secure the network on Ethereum is you lock up your money, okay? You lock up coins, and then you become what's called a validator if you meet the minimum requirements, okay? So for Bitcoin, you buy machines, okay? You secure the network through electricity, basically, and solving the problems on the blockchain. Ethereum, you do the same thing, but you, instead of using miners and using computational power, you lock up your coins, and that's how you do it, okay? So the thing that you guys have to understand about this is that in terms of this video is that proof of work, but both proof of work and proof of stake, you lock up your money. Okay. In proof of stake, in Ethereum's case, as an example, you need 32 ETH and you need to basically agree to not sell it. You need to lock it up and then you become a validator. Okay. That's how you lock it up in Ethereum or proof of stake. In proof of work, it works a little bit differently, but you're still locking money up in proof of work. When you lock in Bitcoin, as an example, with proof of work blockchains, you are locking your money up too. Instead of locking it up in the coins, you're locking it up by buying a hardware machine from a third party. Okay, a third party is they make they make the miner, they make the computer, the specialized miner, and then the miner gets sent to you, and that money is your lockup money. So before you even start mining Bitcoin, before you start mining any of the cryptos that you're trying to mine, whether it be Litecoin, Dogecoin, all the different types of proof of work algorithms, all right, Pirate Chain, whatever. You're locking your money up when you buy that machine. So when you buy that machine, when you decide to become a Bitcoin miner, you buy it from the mining manufacturer. You lock up, let's say it's 10 grand as an example. Okay, you buy that machine for 10 grand, and then that machine it gets brought to you, and then now you can start to print essentially the inflation and a portion of the fees from those proof of work on those proof of work networks. Okay, so the miners get the inflation and the fees from the network, from all the people that are transacting on the Bitcoin network, as an example, or any proof of work algorithm. Okay, so the point is that you lock up money too when you become a Bitcoin miner. All right, unless you're getting the machines for free somehow, which is pretty rare, but in most cases, you have to pay for that machine up front. So right away, you're in the hole. Right away, you're in the hole when you mine Bitcoin or Litecoin or whatever. All right. So the next thing that I want to talk to you guys about is that as time goes on, most people, meaning you, me, and pretty much everybody over time, is going to be priced out of Bitcoin mining. All right. What do I mean by priced out of Bitcoin mining? Well, like I said, the miner difficulty for Bitcoin has only gone up exponentially since basically it's released. I mean, it's taken corrections a little bit, but it's been up and to the right. The same way that the Bitcoin price has been up and to the right, the miner difficulty is up and to the right too, which means that there's more people that are mining. It's more competitive, and it's very, very, very competitive in order to get into mining profitably. Okay, there's not that many people who profitably mine Bitcoin. Okay, so if you want to become a Bitcoin miner, you have to understand you're essentially, the majority of the hash rate in the future is going to be trending towards governments, institutions, states, and big institutions, big level institutions, or companies that are purchased by big institutions or asset managers or whatever the case is. Governments, and they're already getting into Bitcoin mining. So you're competing with hash rate essentially against those people. Okay, and they have all the money in the world to buy the most expensive computers, etc. Okay, the more expensive and the higher level computers that you have, specialized computers, aka the miners, the more Bitcoin that you're going to be able to mine. All right, essentially. So that's important. Okay. As more people mine, it becomes less profitable. Like I said before, the more people mine, now governments and institutions, Wall Street's getting involved. It's going to be very, very, very hard to mine Bitcoin profitably, especially with each halving that happens. Each Bitcoin halving, there's less BTC mined per block. So you're getting less. Okay. Now, if the Bitcoin price increases, relatively speaking, then it's not too much of a problem. But in most cases, it's very, very difficult to mine profitably in Bitcoin in 2025. Okay. So that's the first thing that we need to talk about. The second thing that we need to talk about is that a lot of people don't realize this, but when you're a Bitcoin miner or you're a crypto miner in general, out of any algorithm, there are costs. There are a lot of costs and expenses that you have to consider when mining. Okay. First of all, electricity. Okay. Electricity is very, very high. If you have tons of miners running at the same time, your electricity bill is very, very fat. Okay. It's a very fat electricity bill, right? It's a very, very fat electricity bill. The machine itself is an expense. Like I said before, if you're buying, a $10,000 machine so that you can mine Bitcoin, then you're 10K in the hole right away. Okay. And then on top of that, the electricity expenses every single month, because it takes a lot of power to run these miners, because it's complex problems that they're solving on the blockchain. Okay. And then miscellaneous repairs, things like this. All right. Repairs. Sometimes your miners need work. You need somebody to be able to, you either need somebody to be able to fix it for you, or you need to learn how to do it yourself, because miners have problems. Sometimes they overheat. There's all types of different problems, technically, the technicals that miners have. Okay. So that's the other thing too, is that there's a big learning curve when it comes to mining as well. So in order for you to mine Bitcoin, you have to have a basic understanding of you need, long story short, is you need technical details. You need to learn essentially a whole new skill if you want to become a miner and you want to be profitably doing so. Sometimes your miners will shut off if they overheat. Sometimes your miners will be inefficient. All right. It all depends. You have to set it a certain way. You have to learn. There's a little bit to learn when becoming a Bitcoin miner that somebody starting out in crypto might have a little bit of a difficulty understanding and implementing. Okay. So that's the other thing. All right. Because of these expenses that Bitcoin has, a lot of people don't talk about this, but if you look at miners, if you look at Bitcoin miners, you guys, even the big companies like Marathon, Bitfarm, all these companies, they're selling Bitcoin. Okay. The reason they're not selling all their Bitcoin, but the reason why they sell Bitcoin is because they have expenses. They have a big electricity bill. They have repairs. They have in most cases, these big companies have big warehouses that they store their Bitcoin miners in to run, and that's a cost. Okay, they're in debt. Maybe they went into debt to start the business in the first place. They have to take profits all the time in order to pay for their expenses, so their overhead. Okay, and that sell pressure, and what do you think that, let's say I'm a company and I'm mining Bitcoin, okay, and I have all these expenses. Let's say I mine 12,000, as an example, $12,000 of Bitcoin, and my expenses are 10K a month. Okay, what do you think I'm going to sell in order to pay for that? Bitcoin, 10K Bitcoin, boom, all the time, right? So that's something that a lot of people don't talk about, is that there's built-in sell pressure with proof of work, because the reason why is because there's so much more expenses. There's a lot of friction with proof of work. So there's built-in sell pressure with it. Okay. So that's just something to keep in mind. Okay. Now, is that necessarily a bad thing long term? Not necessarily, but it's just something that a lot of people don't realize, is that because of the expenses of proof of work, there's a lot of costs involved. Okay. A good example of this would be, get gold mining stocks. Gold mining stocks, the reason why gold mining stocks aren't, necessarily so profitable all the time is because it costs a lot in order to mine gold. Okay. It costs a lot. It costs a lot of, there's a lot of expenses. And so it's harder for the gold mining stocks to get to be as profitable as gold is, because it all requires, there's upfront expenses and there's overhead with those businesses. And, it's not as easy to pump the price when there's always sell pressure and the company is always paying for their expenses. Similar to Bitcoin mining, okay? Mining, there's built-in sell pressure for these companies. And if you want to become a miner, there's also going to be upfront expenses as well, okay? And what would you sell if you're trying to, if you're using, revenue and expenses? You would sell the revenue that you have in order to pay for the expenses in most cases. Not in all cases, but that's usually the deal, okay? So there's built-in sell pressure. Okay. So what's the problem, right? What's the problem with this? Well, I talked to you guys about how mining works. I went into a little bit of details from the point of view of becoming a miner. Okay. So what's the problem? Okay. The problem is that I think I've already mentioned this previously, but most people in 2025 are priced out of mining. Okay. Most people are priced out of mining, especially retail people like you and me, Bitcoin mining, especially. Okay. Now, if you want to talk about other proof of work chains that aren't as competitive, such as Litecoin and Doge, different other miners like Kaspa and things like this, that's a different story. Okay, if you guys want to do that, if you guys want to mine those coins, mine Dogecoin, mine Litecoin, those are definitely less competitive and more profitable in the short term. Okay, but in general, Bitcoin mining, it's very competitive. Okay. So, guys, some institutions are even, it's very difficult for them to even be profitable. Okay. A lot of strategies that institutions are doing is they're reselling their renewable energy. They're essentially, their energy is renewable and they're reselling it. They're doing a lot of different things in order to be profitable. But even institutions, it's very, very difficult. There's a lot of acquisitions going on. There's a lot of purchases. B2B purchases of miners right now. Okay. And it's very competitive. I've talked to various people that are deeply into institutional mining. And they tell me that, it's very hard to stay afloat. It's extremely competitive. And there's a lot of things that I'm not going to mention on here, but there's a lot of, attacking from like competitors basically. Okay. But most people are priced out of mining. Okay. Bitcoin mining is very, very difficult to be profitable. Okay. Now, if we were in 2012 or we were in 2011, 2010, you could mine, 50 Bitcoin an hour, 50 Bitcoin a day, for free on your computer. I mean, you could do that at that time because the difficulty, there weren't as many people mining. So because the difficulty was so much lower, it took less computational power and and you got more Bitcoin because there was more Bitcoin mined per block, right? Every block has a certain amount of Bitcoin, right? As a reward, the block reward, right? So that's something to keep in mind. In 2012, it was extremely profitable to become a Bitcoin miner, especially right now, especially after now, because there was no cost and you were just printing it for free on your computer. Whereas now you need to specialize computers that solve that basically speed solve problems that take a lot of electricity, and there's a lot more cost now. Okay, so in 2012, maybe it was a good, it was a very good investment to mine Bitcoin on your computer, mine 50 Bitcoin a day on your computer. Whereas now it's really, really difficult to even stay profitable versus your expenses, right? So that's something to keep in mind. Okay. So the other thing that you guys have to keep in mind is that even if it is profitable, right? Even if it is profitable, what's your opportunity cost? All right. What's opportunity cost mean? Well, with the money that you have, let's say you have $50,000 in your account. Okay. If you have $50,000 in your bank account and you're looking to invest that money, well, you have to understand that money is energy. You could park that in a lot of different places. You could park it in the S&P. You could just keep it in cash if you want. I wouldn't recommend that. All right. But you could put it in a money market. You could put it in, you could use it to put a down payment on a property. You could become a Bitcoin miner, or you could just buy crypto assets. Okay. And based on where you are at personally and where you're at and what your goals are, okay, that's going to depend on where you put that energy to work for you, right? So the question that you need to ask yourself is that if you want to allocate a certain amount of money to the crypto market and you are considering mining as an option, what is your opportunity cost versus just buying crypto coins, just buying BTC or just buying Ethereum or buying Solana or buying something else, okay? Kaspa, whatever you want to mine, Dogecoin, right? Well, the thing that you guys have to keep in mind is that when let's say you want to become a Bitcoin miner, then, let's say you want to invest 50K into mining. Okay. You bought the machines, you're 50K in the hole right there. Okay. You're 50K in the hole right away. All right. You're because you haven't made any money. You essentially just purchased the miners, and then the miners are now going to be printing you the inflation of the coins that you want to buy. And then that's going to make up for that 50K. So you need to mine $50,000 worth of coins in order for you to be break even. Okay. In order for you to be even break even, you have to sell, you essentially have to mine $50,000 worth of Bitcoin before you're break even, right? So that's the other thing. Whereas if you buy a coin, on a dip, or you buy a coin in the bear market, and when it's very, very cheap, it goes up 2, 3x. There's no overhead. Your money is invested in those assets, but then, you still have those dollars unless the things that you buy are just, dog shit and go to zero. Okay. If that's the case, then, you have to do research, and you should get a coaching call with me. So you can avoid doing that. Okay. Not financial advice, but if you don't know good coins to buy, good projects to buy, consultation with me will help very much. Okay. So that's the thing. Okay. You got to understand opportunity costs. All right. If you're going to become a Bitcoin miner, you have to understand that other options that you can have that might be better for you, and in most cases are going to be better for you. Okay. The other thing too is that all the upfront costs, electricity costs go up with inflation, equipment goes up with inflation. All these expenses that a Bitcoin miner has, they get hit by inflation the same way that the gold mining stocks get hit by inflation, right? All of the power and all the expenses get affected by the government printing money. Okay. So not only are the machines more expensive now compared to in 2012 when you were mining on your computer, but now, not only that, but now the electricity and all the expenses are also going up with inflation. So it creates even more friction. Okay. So that's another reason why most of you should not become a Bitcoin miner. Okay. There's a steep learning curve. I already talked about this. In order for you to even become a Bitcoin miner, there's a lot of things that you need to learn. There's a lot of things that is going to be very difficult for you to maintain if you're new into the crypto market and you don't understand anything about blockchain. You don't understand anything about Bitcoin. There's a lot of friction. Okay. So that's another thing, is you're going to have to just be expected to learn a lot of new things when you become a miner in any algorithm for the most part. All right. So what's the solution? All right. You guys want to know what I think? This is the end. Should you become a Bitcoin miner or not? I'm going to tell you guys the red pill truth. I'm going to tell you guys, no matter what people say. All right. This is the truth. Okay. The truth is that the better solution in 2025 for most of you, okay, is to just buy and hold coins. Okay. Not mine coins. I mean, if you now as an example, Litecoin, Dogecoin, those are a little bit more profitable, okay, than Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is very, very competitive, and institutions are already involved in buying Litecoin, okay? But in most cases, for most of you guys, the energy that you guys want to put towards cryptocurrency, you guys want to be buying and holding solid assets and playing the market and just buying coins, okay, that you have conviction in and that you've researched, okay? Instead of you researching how to become a miner and how to, run a mining machine, run an ASIC, whatever, it's better for you to just research into cryptocurrency, learn about the different things in the market, and just buy assets that you believe in. That's a lot easier. It's a lot less friction. You're not putting yourself in the hole right away, okay? And the thing about the crypto market, especially when you guys are new getting in, is that being simple and keeping things simple and simplicity is what's going to win, okay? You guys need to just keep things simple, especially when you're first starting out, and just create a strategy that is effective, consistent, and most importantly, something that you can stick to. Okay, you guys need to create a strategy that you guys can stick to and be consistent with, and that's easy to understand for you. Okay, most of the time, mining is not profitable, Bitcoin especially. Okay, versus holding and buying in 2025. Okay, buying and holding in 2025, crypto, the difficulty has adjusted. All right. In most cases, buying coins is just the easier, simple, and more profitable path. Okay. Now, if you guys do want to profitably mine, Litecoin, Dogecoin at times is very, very profitable. Even that is getting more competitive over time. But there are a lot of miners that I know personally, as well as strategies that, if they're allowed to, that this is what they do. They find different algorithms that, like such as Litecoin, that's more profitable and less competitive than Bitcoin. They then mine Litecoin and Dogecoin, and then they convert it to BTC. All right, they convert the Litecoin and the Dogecoin that they mine to BTC. For those of you guys who don't know, Litecoin, Dogecoin, they're merge mined, so they're one and the same in terms of mining. Okay, essentially. So That's the thing. Okay. So a lot of people, if you're going to mine, the more profitable idea would be to buy, at least right now, is to buy a Litecoin miner and a Dogecoin miner. And then you could, essentially you could mine Litecoin, Dogecoin. And if you want BTC, just sell the Litecoin, Dogecoin for BTC. All right. But, even then it's like, well, let's say that algorithm changes, people catch on to that, people start doing that more. Then what's going to happen is, oh, well, now I have an unprofitable miner. Now I have to, sell the machine. I have to do all the, there's just more steps, more friction, right? So even then, but if you are going to mine profitably, that would be something that a lot of very experienced miners do. Okay. So like I said, you want to move to less friction, less complications when it comes to mining. Okay. Now, there is an exception to this rule, okay? Mining can be profitable if you have an exception to the rule, okay? There's an exception to this rule, which is if you essentially have a situation, which most people don't have, but you have a situation where you essentially get electricity for free, okay? You get electricity for free, and you have tons of capital up front to invest in bulk mining. But even then, it's still risky, okay? If you have a situation where you get electricity for free, all right, don't make your, if you guys are living at home, all right, don't put the electricity bill on your parents, okay? Most of you guys should be you guys shouldn't be living at home. You guys should have your own place and stuff like that. But if you are, all right, don't do that to your parents, all right? Don't do that to your parents, all right? But yeah, if you have a situation, let's say you have a property or something where you get you have a deal with a landlord or something like this where you get free electricity, then that would be something to consider. Okay, that could be a very profitable thing for you. Or if you get, like, somebody gives you a mining machine for free, somebody gives you an ASIC, somebody gives you a miner for free, then you have no cost up front. It could be a little bit more of a profitable cash flowy thing, all right, depending on what machine it is, what algorithms it mines, etc. Okay. But the point is that the exception to the rule is that if you have tons of money up front to buy massive amounts, you have like free, you have like free expenses, all the expenses that I listed before, warehouse expenses, you have mining machine, you have electricity, you have, the repairs and the miscellaneous, you just have to have somebody that can do it for you. But if those three things are either not relevant, or you don't have to pay for them, or you get them for free, then that could be a little bit of a different situation, less risky. But even still, it's probably easier for a lot of you guys to just buy coins that you like and that you do research on and hold them. Okay, so I hope I answered that question about mining. I've gotten a few questions about mining Bitcoin. Okay, I do have experience mining in cryptocurrency in general. All right, I know very, very much about it. I've done well with mining. I've done not so well with mining, so I understand it more than the vast majority of people. Okay, so that's the video. I hope you guys understand. The point is that for most of you guys, it's better to just buy and hold coins that you like and not mine them. Okay, I don't want to repeat myself, but if you guys like this video, if you guys found value in this, if you guys like the red pill truth about mining and the truth about it, I want you guys to subscribe to this channel. I want you guys to like this video, and I want you guys to share this with somebody that you know that's interested in the crypto market. All right, subscribe, like the video. I appreciate all of you guys who support me. All right, Instagram, Chase Your Grace, link in the description. TikTok, Chase Your Grace, link in the description. Lots of growth on TikTok. I appreciate you guys so much, and I hope you guys have a blessed day and a blessed Sunday. Bless up.